everywhere else
Oh my
on
gosh.
LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dr. James Nurse Practitioner and America's favorite nurse,
Nurse
Alice Benjamin.
Alice.
Welcome to Dr. James and Nurse Alice show.
Mhm.
Alice, how you feeling on this Monday?
You know what? It's Mondays are always busy because people generally go out and live the world during the weekend, and then they come back and everything's like, oh, this happened, this happened. So Mondays are really busy in clinic. So I'm playing catch up. But other than that, I'm happy. I'm fine. It stopped raining here in Los Angeles, so
Right.
what I
I
complain
mean,
about.
thank God for that. Right. So I'm glad y'all, we had this like beautiful week last week, and then it picked
Yep.
the 2 days over the weekend to rain, and then now it's like beautiful outside again. But we are super glad you're here. We're talking about 3 very specific things today on the show. Actually, 4. I'm gonna put a 4th one in there, Alice. I'm gonna put a little wrinkle in. Okay, so number 1 is OJ Simpson died last week of prostate cancer, and so it's going to give us an opportunity to talk about prostate cancer, particularly in Black men, and remind everyone about some really interesting statistics about prostate cancer. That's
Yep.
number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Alice, you brought up the second one. What is the second thing we're talking about? It's crazy.
Right. The second thing that we're going to talk about is about a challenge that's gone viral. It's called chroming. And this is the practice of inhaling or huffing household products in order to get high. Very unsafe. Got to talk about it. So I'm not going to just say this is the young kids. There's some other people doing this, but listen, this is not the thing to do. Very dangerous, and we want to raise awareness to it.
Yeah, huffing. By the way, so TikTok folks, I got some folks over here on TikTok who are live. We're going live in multiple places at one time. TikTok, this is why you're looking out my other camera so I can see y'all, because we're live on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. as well. So folks on TikTok know what's going on with chroming. The third thing we're going to talk about, Alice, which was also a great topic that you brought up, is when is it important for you to bring something to your primary care provider versus like going directly to a specialist? Like when should you go to the specialist first or your primary, right? That's a very interesting question.
I think it's very interesting, and it's just something that I'm seeing a lot more in clinic. Obviously, I've worked in the emergency room and I work family practice, and sometimes I see people come to the emergency room for, let's just say, ingrown toenail, and then sometimes they go to their primary doctor or nurse practitioner, and then sometimes they're wanting to go to the podiatrist. So when and where do I go to who and what? So I think it's a good conversation to talk about.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic conversation. And then the fourth thing, because all right, you got us for 22 more minutes, so we're just about to jump. Well, maybe 25 because we're a little late. The fourth thing we're going to talk about is this, Alice, this stethoscope. It's so funny. So I do a thing on TikTok. For those of you watching on TikTok, hello. Oh, we lost some folks. They must not like it when I flip the camera. But in the mornings, we go live on TikTok. If you're not following me there, jump over at @AskTheNP_. @AskTheNP_. Every morning we do this thing called morning rounds, and I go live for anywhere from like 20 minutes to 45 minutes in the mornings. And sometimes we have 600-700 people in the room. Questions are flying. It's super great. But someone on TikTok was like, when you go in the afternoons or when you're not at the hospital, people don't know who you are. Like they're confused that you're a nurse practitioner, but that they're like, so you should put on the stethoscope so people know what you're doing. And I was like, I feels weird to like wear my stethoscope, not with my scrubs, but then also I get that they're like, well, who is this dude? Like, so I don't know. Alice, what do you think? What do you think of the stethoscope?
I think a stethoscope is symbolically represents someone in healthcare, right? A healthcare provider. I don't like when people call it a doctor's stethoscope because doctors are not the only people that use stethoscopes. Nurses, nurse practitioners, PAs, nurse anesthetists, like medical assistants, even dentists, they have them at their office. They're doing blood pressure checks now. Like, so a stethoscope is really just a tool. It's like our sword, right? Because we use it to listen to, auscultate, things that we couldn't normally do with our naked ear. So, but I think, James, in this case, what they're saying is wearing it to symbolize that you're a speaker or an expert on some topic of healthcare. I think that's what it's come to symbolize in the public, in the community. But people should understand that a lot of different people wear stethoscopes and use them.
Yeah, it's very true. Some people on here, Very interesting. People have some, you know what's really funny on TikTok? So, by the way, hello everyone who is not on TikTok. By the way, we're doing this thing where I'm like, we're simultaneously on TikTok and some other folks. By the way, Dr. Farah Lawrence or Farah, I think it's Farah.
She was just on the Jennifer Hudson show.
She sure was. I watched the replay of that today. That was awesome, Farah. Congratulations. Loves the nurses representing on the Jennifer Hudson show. It was awesome.
Yep, and she's also one of our Media RXers. So she's in the Media RX Academy coming up this summer. I'm real excited, but she's already a rock star. So, but it's going to take her to the next level.
Absolutely. I love that. Some people are saying nurse practitioner saved my dad's life. That's really awesome. Do I feel it's misleading people? No, I don't know what you mean by misleading. Maybe the doctor in front of my name? No, I don't think it is, because there are a myriad of people whose academic honorific is doctor without them being MDs or DOs, right? If someone has a PhD in poetry, they are Dr. So-and-so. So no, I also have it in my name. It's also in the handle of my profile. Like my handle is at Ask the NP. Also, the very first thing in my profile, it says Doctor of Nursing Practice, because that's the title that I earned. So no, I think most people can read.
I think so too. I think the term doctor, obviously people think of medical doctors or physicians when they do that, but that isn't the case, as you well just explained, Dr. James, that doctors, it has to speak to your level of education, your doctorate degree. And I think in all fairness, everyone who's earned that title should be able to apply that to their name. And you are not being misleading at all. He's an excellent, excellent NP who happens to have his doctorate. So therefore, hence, Dr. James Simpson.
You are very kind, Alice. Thank you so much. But I appreciate the conversation on TikTok, by the way. Like, I don't mean to be shady to people on TikTok. I think it's a legitimate question. Like, we should definitely, we should ask it.
Yeah. But you know what we should be asking? We should be asking about what happened to OJ. Died of prostate cancer. And a lot of people ask, like, oh my gosh, can you really die of prostate cancer? Because it can be slow growing most of the times, not all the times. But Dr. James, I'm gonna let you tee that one off.
Yeah, so you can't. I mean, listen, OJ died of prostate cancer. So, and this is not going to be a discussion about how you feel about OJ in general, but OJ is a public figure, a well-known person, whether you liked OJ or not, whether you believed OJ or not. What this does is give us an opportunity to remind people about prostate cancer, right? Because it's a big deal. So prostate cancer is actually the second most common and second most lethal cancer among people who have prostates, right? So skin cancer is the most common, lung cancer is the most lethal, but prostate follows that right up. And there are some really, really, really interesting numbers about, there's about 35,000 deaths a year from prostate cancer. And a lot of people think that those deaths can actually be like largely avoidable. So some other things to recognize about prostate cancer as well is you are about 2.5 times more likely to be diagnosed and 4 times more likely to die from prostate cancer if you are a Black man in America. So we talk about the racial disparities in healthcare that really exist. One of the ways that shows itself is through prostate cancer. So we remind everyone, please, to now is the time to just bring to the front of your mind screening.
Yeah.
And when and where and if screening is appropriate for you.
I definitely think it's appropriate for a conversation. I think everyone needs to have a conversation with their healthcare provider, identifying what their unique risk factors are and if they want to have this screening, because I mean, there's some things that play a factor in this, James. I mean, we have guidelines, right? There are definitely guidelines that help guide practice for people like, I don't know what my risk factors are. What do I do? Well, you got to talk to your healthcare provider, but the American Cancer Society recommends that screening for prostate cancer start at the age of 50 for people who are at average risk of developing the disease and have life expectancy for at least another 10 years. And men who have people with prostates or who are at higher risk should start screening at age 45, especially those who are African American, have a first degree relative who's been diagnosed with cancer before the age of 65. So sometimes it's not easy to remember all these numbers. If this, then do that. If this, then do that. So talk to your healthcare provider because it's a really important discussion that you should be having.
Yeah, it is a really important discussion. And I think a lot of people, we get into this conversation about is early detection really, how beneficial is early detection? Because a lot of people don't fully realize that for some people, prostate cancer can be something that is really slow growing, right? Yeah. It ultimately, for some people, will not be the thing that kills them. But it's such a weird disconnect, right? To have in our brain, like, wait, I have cancer, or someone I know and love has cancer, and we're not doing the most about it, right? We're not being like super mega ultra aggressive. We're not taking things out and doing surgery and radiation and chemo and all these things. Well, what we found over the years with research and experience in that prostate cancer, particularly for older people and particularly for forms of prostate cancer that are slow growing, the treatment for prostate cancer, so surgery, sometimes removal of prostate, radiation, chemotherapy, all of those things can impact the quality of life way more significantly than if we just did what's called watchful waiting, where if we just sort of sit back, watch what's going on, do periodic scans, do periodic PSAs, which are only kind of so accurate. Yep. They are sensitive, but not specific, if you will. So this watchful waiting, though, can be really uncomfortable for a lot of people, right? It can really be like, wait, you're telling me I have cancer, but you don't want to do anything about it. So this is why Alice said, it was beautiful, Alice, it was perfect. This is why Alice said, it is all about a conversation with your primary care provider. Mm-hmm. Like having that conversation about what is most appropriate for you is what's best.
Right. And if I can share, I actually had a close family member who experienced this, and having prostate cancer it's we think it's more than just the prostate, guys, though, because like as Dr. James was saying, like mentally you're thinking like, oh my gosh, you think of the big C, cancer, and how horrific or scary this can be, life-threatening, but there's really an impact on the quality of life. The things that prostate cancer, and actually he had an enlarged prostate along with it, the symptoms were actually very excruciating. And then you think about it, what are the treatments for it? What are the things that you can do once you've been diagnosed with it, and if your symptoms are severe enough or your cancer is aggressive enough? And I think it's really also very important that you talk to your provider about the various types of treatments, because a lot of people with prostates are concerned about having the prostate removed, because, and I have to be honest, the biggest concern is their sexual performance. They're concerned about being impotent or not having sexual desires and things like that. And there's a whole host of other treatments that are available that I really want to encourage people to do, because my family member in this case got proton therapy, where it was very targeted therapy, and he didn't have those side effects that impacted his sexual health. So I think, but yeah, you got to talk to your provider. There's lots of different options out there. And, I also encourage people also to get a second opinion.
Mm-hmm. Very, very much so. A second opinion can really go a long way, because I think with anything, this is also not something you want to play with, right? So let's say your original urologist, proctologist, whomever is like, okay, or oncologist is like, actually, I don't think that the degree, the stage of this cancer is that significant. Let's watch and wait. Let's repeat a PSA in 3 months. Let's do a scan in 6 months or whatever. You might want to get a second opinion just to make sure that two very intelligent, smart, researched, experienced minds agree. Just because we're human, right? As nurses and medical care providers, we're human. And so sometimes these mistakes can get made. Sometimes biopsies are not perfect. Sometimes lab results are not perfect. Sometimes even scans are not perfect, right? So I think getting a second opinion is really important. And Dr. Laurent put in the comments here on LinkedIn, by the way, that get an advocate when you go see your physician or provider, someone that goes with you, someone that can take notes, someone that can answer the questions that you may not be thinking of, because you're going to be so overwhelmed with, like, if it's the first, if someone is saying the words, you have cancer.
That's scary.
That's scary. That's a lot. Like, that's really intense. And then even on the follow-up, they're going to be like, okay, you have cancer. actually, we're not super worried because of X, Y, and Z, but you are going to need this treatment and that therapy and whatever. It's still going to be overwhelming. But if you have someone else who is not the person with cancer helping you, be an advocate for you, it can really go a long way.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very much so. We have some folks chiming in, saying hello on YouTube as well, Alice. Oh, yeah. Looks at YouTube, folks. Hi, everybody on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. Where else are we? I'm on TikTok on the phone right here. And up there, we're making it all happen. We are just reminding folks. So real briefly, we're talking about prostate cancer awareness because of OJ Simpson dying of prostate cancer last week. 50-year-old people who have prostates need to have a conversation with your primary care provider about prostate screening. Everyone. If you have an increased risk of prostate cancer, you've had any other type of cancer in your body, you have had any other radiation, or you have a family member, a first-degree family member, so father, uncle, brother, who has had prostate cancer, you need to have a conversation with your provider at age 45.
Absolutely.
To begin screening. Cool.
Now, James, from cancer to another big C that is definitely taking the social media wave out there. It's become very, very popular, but not for good reasons. It's chroming. Have you heard about chroming?
Well, I had just heard about chroming as a term. So TikTok, hey, folks on TikTok, thanks for the love. Hi, the Spa Girl. I see your comments. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I really do. So TikTok, some folks on TikTok had mentioned that they knew about this as well because that's where it is a viral trend, chroming. Yes. But I feel like I'm old, Alice. Like, to me, it just sounds like what we used to call huffing.
Actually, I think, you know what, I guess I don't want to say it's in vogue because it should not be in vogue. It's not a good thing, but I think exactly that's really what it is. They've labeled this as chroming, and it is the latest trend on social media. It's taken it by storm. And what's happening is several teams around the world who are reportedly participating in chroming, which is basically the inhalation of some very dangerous chemicals. They're dying. Teens are dying.
Really?
Yes, they're actually dying. This is actually very, very dangerous, James. And so what they're doing is, as we know, is huffing, inhaling household products containing very dangerous substances like aerosol sprays, things with, fumes. I'm trying to think of here. I was looking at some of the products.
Deodorant.
Deodorant, yes.
Right. Like, are you kidding me? Like deodorant? The hell?
Things that you're supposed to be breathing, huffing oxygen. You're not supposed to be huffing these other things, okay? But what's happened here is that they're inhaling these very lethal fumes, even paints and all kinds of stuff. But these substances are causing very, very harmful effects, and they're causing things like dizziness, nausea, loss of coordination, hallucination, permanent brain damage, asphyxiation, some very, very bad things. And unfortunately, there have been some teens around the world who've died from huffing. So it's something that we want to put the word out, caution, talk to your family members, talk to your teens, talk to your classmates. We got to let people know that this is dangerous. Now, I know that people have been huffing some other things like marijuana, and then we have these vape pens, and there are these things, but those, may I say, that's different. So the intentions of those is I'm not promoting these things, but I'm just saying that they're actually designed for that, right? You're smoking marijuana, you're using a vape, like you inhale it, but these chroming things, like if you go to the grocery store and you're in aisle 8 in the deodorant aisle and you pick something up, that is not for huffing, and that is not for
I was trying to look for I was trying to look for if I had something in here in my desk drawer that I could pretend like I was huffing. That's different. Alice, you make an amazing point because the chemicals. So listen, I'm gonna back it up for y'all just a little tiny bit. We're gonna do a little bit of a science lesson. Every single thing that happens in our body is a chemical reaction, right? So there's chemicals and hormones and neurotransmitters and all these things are talking to each other, but that is a chemical reaction. So when my brain just told my arm and hand to do this, to touch my head, because I'm an animated person and I talk with my hands, those are instantaneous, almost chemical reactions happening. When you inhale a chemical of any kind, it's impacting your brain and your brain's ability to do things like tell your heart to keep beating on its own, tell your bowels to keep working on their own, tell your mouth to keep speaking, right? Intentionally, conscious versus subconscious things. So you inhale chemicals that are just meant to go on the outside of your body or the outside of your house, like paint, like a spa girl in here was in TikTok was talking about people and used to huff markers and paint. Yeah. Right. Like,
Yeah, like
I remember that too, spa girl, back in the day. Cool. Those things impact your brain. And if the chemical reaction is too strong, interrupts your natural processes too much, it can kill you. Like, it's that deep.
And I think what's also important to add on to the science lesson here, when we breathe in, we're breathing in oxygen. That oxygen binds to our hemoglobin in our blood, and it travels around and drops off oxygen at important organs. Oh, here kidney, here liver, here brain. You know, oxygen is getting dropped off so our body can function. When you inhale these type of fumes, it displaces the oxygen. So it's like the hemoglobin's getting there, but there's no oxygen to drop off for your kidney to function, for your liver to function, for your brain to function. So you're dying slowly in a sense, or your cells are at least. And unfortunately, this is what's happening to teens, and this is why they are dying, because these chemicals are so dangerous, so toxic to our cells, our neurons. There's no oxygen that's going to the places that where it needs to happen, and it's turning into some kind of multi-organ system failure.
Yes, very, very much so. And it's This is not the first time, nor is it the last time that there will be some sort of weird viral trend that is difficult on people's health, nor is it the first time. Yeah, y'all see the dog eating. Some of y'all can see the dog eating in the back. Nor is it the first time that teenagers in particular or younger people are going to do something with their peers in order to have like a chemically altered experience. Okay. In legal form, the most dangerous legal form of this is alcohol, right? It is just controlled poison.
Yep.
And then we have other things like our prescription medications to some degree are controlled poisons, right? But they've been researched, they've been studied, they've been looked at in different animals and then human species over years, so we can see the impact of these things. And even then we have side effects. So we say all this not to be in like a fear zone, Alice, right? Like you and I are not the type of providers who are like, I'm gonna scare you into doing whatever. But I do think it is really important for people to think about that these products and chemicals that are very specifically designed to not go in your body by inhaling or consuming otherwise is for a reason, because it's that lethal. So parents, peers, have conversations, be real about this. Be like, listen, boo-boo, I do not want you huffing deodorant.
No, I don't. But to your point, if someone comes into my ER and they're like, what are the side effects of chroming? I'm going to say death. That's what I'm going to say.
Just get right to it. Right.
Period, poo. I'm just, what are you really? Because there's no reasonable use for inhaling it. Unlike, I know you mentioned the medications, but there's a benefit and there's a risk. At least there's a benefit. There is no benefit in chroming. There really isn't.
There isn't. Although someone, my new friend, the spa girl on TikTok, made a comment about how we all do these things to feel like, because we want to fit in, right? Because they're someone that you like and you want to be friends with, whatever, is doing this. We all do that. It's harder as teenagers.
My mama said, if everybody go run off a cliff, Alice, are you gonna run off the cliff too? No. At some point, no. So yes, we do want to fit in, but at what point? How much of your life are you willing to jeopardize in order to fit in? Baby, you can go there. I don't want to be part of that clique. I don't want to be part of that crew.
Right.
No, not my thing.
I mean, it's tough. While at the same, right, spa girl is saying that her mom used to say that too. Right. Yeah. Or if so and so jumps off a bridge, are you going to jump off a bridge too? And sometimes kids are like, yeah, because it's that important. So I think it's this balance of being like, I totally understand and feel like where you are. I understand this and how important it is for you to like make friends and make these connections with people or whatever. But baby, there are some things that you cannot do that are too dangerous for your life to make a connection. So let's come up with another way to have a connection with somebody, right? But like multiple truths can exist. Like I want you to make friends, probably not with these kids, but also like don't snort shit, don't huff shit,
exactly, and
don't puff shit.
And on a to be also very considerate of everyone who may be listening. If you are someone who are having feelings of harming or hurting yourself, or you don't feel like there's reason to live, and maybe you've decided that you want to do this, I want to implore you to please get help. We love you. We need you here. And I would hate to see harm come to you, and we want to get you the help that you need.
It's very true. 988, it works in almost all parts of the country now and is a great place to start. It's the easiest place to start anyway. If you are feeling overwhelmed about life, or if you are feeling like you want to harm yourself, or you know someone else who wants to harm themselves, or you just kind of don't know how to help someone, you can start with 988. They'll get you in the right direction. So thank you, Alice. Thank you for bringing that up. So we are almost at time. We just have a couple of minutes left. I really appreciate, again, everyone following. Well, that too. But everyone watching on LinkedIn and YouTube. We got a kind of a YouTube crew here today. LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok on my phone, Instagram. Who am I thinking? Facebook. The granddaddy, the grandmama, Facebook. She's the oldest one that's been around. We really appreciate y'all watching. Alice, you had a lovely thought about our last topic for the day. This comes up so frequently about when is it appropriate and right for me to like go to my primary care provider? Like what can my primary care provider do versus me just being like, I need a specialist now. And I'll tee this up a little bit to give a little controversy to this. So I actually had an eye appointment this morning. And my insurance is with Kaiser Permanente out here in California, and ophthalmology, eye doctors are something that Kaiser just lets you go straight to. Now, I was a bad boy and I have not had an eye appointment in 9 years. And as I'm getting older, I've been doing this more. So I needed to go to the eye doctor, but I was able to just go on my Kaiser app, make an appointment without going to my primary. At the same time, the old trick knee's acting up and I need to go to see an orthopedist. That I had to go through my primary about.
Is that in the whole like HMO type of thing? Like that's a whole nother conversation, because people can, I mean, even myself as a provider, understanding HMO versus PPO and all this other stuff, it can be very confusing. So listen, I don't want anyone to feel overwhelmed like, oh, I should know that. Listen, it's a whole nother world out there. But I mean, you raise a good point, Dr. James. So you had to go to your primary provider before you could see the knee specialist. Is that correct?
Correct.
So why do we do that? So why does insurance make us do that? Well, let's just be honest. Part of it is cost containment, but it's also to make sure that you have a primary care provider who kind of oversees all of your care and knows everything that's going on with you, if you will, kind of the captain of the ship. And there are also a lot of things that your primary care provider can manage and help you take care of, where you may not necessarily need to go to the specialist. And we already know there's a shortage of specialists. So looking at utilization of resources, we really want the specialists to take care of those who really, really need specialized, very detailed, complex care.
Sure.
Right? We want to free that person up. But in the situation I had a young, otherwise healthy gentleman, had an ingrown toenail, but came to us and asked to see the podiatrist. And I thought, I can take care of that. That is something that well in our purview of primary care. And so what that allowed that gentleman to do is receive care much faster, because if I would have then put in a referral, then the insurance has to approve it, then he has to wait and go see the podiatrist, and then podiatrist, instead of seeing someone whose foot is black and blue, is seeing someone with an ingrown toenail. So I think it's really important that people connect with their primary health care provider. Make sure that you have one, and then let that provider know what's going on with you, because very often they can do the screening, initiate the treatment early on, so you're not waiting and things are getting worse. Yep. And then also when it is out of their purview and is complex, they will absolutely have no problems with sending you to the specialist because it's out of their wheelhouse. And I think, when we don't feel good, we don't feel good. We just want to go to the best of the best to get things done.
And just get it handled. Right. Well, we're in this society where, for better or worse, we're conditioned, I should say. We're conditioned to be like, give me a pill to fix this.
Yes.
And so we now understanding our healthcare system, because folks are chiming in on TikTok too about having PPOs versus HMOs. They're with you, Alice. That's something about we want I'm just as guilty. It's how I drive in LA. I'm like, get out my way. I want to get to where I'm going in the fastest, most efficient way possible. Right. So people think that like, oh, my chest hurts, just get me to the cardiologist. I don't want to fool around with anything else. But I think, Alice, to your point, it's so important to, I think for two reasons, do exactly what you just said, Alice. Number one, and I think people don't think about this in certain ways, in a right way about your primary care provider. Your primary care provider can actually be the person who takes a lot of stress and anxiety away from you. Because remember, it is our job to keep up with your health.
Yes.
So you're like, wait, when did because I walked into that appointment this morning, Alice, and 2-3 people in there were like, Mr. Simmons, you haven't had an eye appointment in 9 years. Is everything okay? Can we help you make sure that you schedule one every 2 years? Right? They were on it. I didn't even remember that it had been 9 years because my primary care provider and all of my health being in one place, they were there to remind me of that. So I think sometimes if we drive everything through our primary care provider, they're going to be the ones, at least the good ones, will be like, well, you took this medication 3 years ago. Remember, you had an allergy to it. Also, let's go ahead and do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Like, it's no stress on you. They're the ones that get to remember all of the things. And the second thing, so stress off of you. And the second thing is most people don't know that primary care providers in a lot of settings are trained to do a lot of things. Like you said, Alice, let me take care of this ingrown toenail right quick before it gets to a place where you actually need a podiatrist.
Exactly.
And it can be life-changing, right? You can actually get to that fast healthcare that you wanted in the first place, but you didn't even actually need to go to a podiatrist. You just needed to go to a well-trained, like dope primary care provider like you.
Yeah. And here's the thing, because and this happens a lot. And again, because we're such a shortage of specialists, there are more people who need care than we have enough providers, guys. So just imagine a specialist. Had I sent that young man out with a referral, it probably would have took him at least a month to get to the podiatrist. So he would have been sitting there with this ingrown toenail that could have gotten worse, gotten infected, and then, then impacts his quality of life and a whole bunch of other things. And, to prevent that, I was like, you know what? This is something well in my wheelbox. Okay, come on, sir. Sit down over here. Put your foot over here. Let's go. Boom, boom, boom. Got it taken care of. It's done.
Yeah.
Done. So, and also, but to your point, James, your primary care provider, dare I say, it's almost like your mom. Your mom keeps tapping on everything that you do and like knows all of that. Your birth certificate's over here. Oh, you put your shoes over here, and this is what you need to do. Remember, remember you said you didn't want that, so I didn't buy that. So like someone who can kind of keep track of what's going on with you, can track and trend your data and your information, houses all of your results, so it's there for comparison. And then when you do see the specialist, that information comes back to your primary care provider. So your primary care provider is still in the loop. They still know what you did last summer. I'm just saying.
They still know what you did last summer.
Yes.
I know what you did last summer.
Exactly.
I like that. I like the way you put that, Alice. You also made me, when you said the analogy of a mom, I was also like, or a husband.
Yeah.
Well, just being like, nope, your car keys are over there.
And so, yes, I hope that's what it's like when I get one.
I love it. Alice just put that out there a little bit, John. Just saying.
Did I do that?
You sure did.
Did I do that?
You sure did. Did I do that? Yeah, because you never know what you're getting on Dr. James Alice. So every Monday at 5 p.m., listen, we come and we kiki, we talk about some headlines. We're going to start. So listen, on TikTok, y'all go follow everybody on TikTok, either me or Alice. I'm at Ask the MP. Wait, Alice, you on TikTok?
Yeah, I'm on TikTok. Everything is Ask Nurse Alice. I'm easy to find. Ask Nurse Alice. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X, the website, everything is Ask Nurse Alice. But Dr. James, I cannot end without me saying this. Okay, because I know some of y'all are like, I don't have a primary care provider because I don't have insurance.
Oh,
I
right.
feel bad about that because I know that's the case for some people, and some people will have to go, they'll go to their community clinic. If you can find a community clinic, but I will also say this, um, if you need care, you need care. And although I know that this isn't what the emergency room is built for, because emergency is really built for emergencies. But if you are sick, down and out, don't have a primary care provider, there's no clinic, it's the holidays, you don't got you need to be seen. And I would really still would encourage you to go to an urgent care or to an emergency room, because I do not want anyone to forego care because
Right.
they don't have insurance or a primary care provider.
Yep. Don't at the end of the day, especially those urgent cares.
Yes.
A lot of them will be sliding scales. And remember, the urgent care people in urgent cares are often people who work in emergency rooms as well.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're really good at, and I think this is what really good providers are good at anyway, is knowing what they don't know.
Yes.
So if you walk into an urgent care and they're going to be like, we learned something in nursing and medicine very much so about like sick versus not sick. And so if you walk into an urgent care and they're like, whoa, you are sick and you are above the capabilities of this urgent care or the providers in this facility, we're going to call the ambulance for you and get you to the ER, right? Or vice versa, welcome to the urgent care. Guess what? For $50, we can handle all of these things that you need taken care of and some imaging and some whatever, or we'll bill your insurance company or whatever. So Alice, thank you for that. It's you never, ever, ever want you to forego care. Mm-hmm. And even, I know we have people, we're worldwide, baby. We've got literally people watching us from different countries right now, but here in California and several other states in the United States, honestly, with Obamacare too, if you don't have insurance, emergency departments will sign you up for emergency versions of insurance so that at least some of your visit is covered. So please don't. It's easier said than done. I understand. I'm being respectful of people's like life situations, but if you're like, I need healthcare, like, please go get it.
Yes. And I know we're out of time today, so maybe this will have to be next week. But listen, having worked in the emergency room, there's this thing called EMTALA, emergency medical treatment something. It's a something that says that we can't turn you away without first assessing and stabilizing you to make sure that you're safe to leave. So we can't deny care. What does EMTALA stand for, James? I forgot.
Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act.
Labor Act. Yeah. So we can't turn you away. And I want to say this. People will sometimes be like, well, I don't want to go see because I don't have any money. Baby, if you don't get that foot looked at, please go get that foot looked at. We will worry about the bill later. The cost of not having the foot versus the cost of getting your foot seen, listen, is way more important.
Way more important.
It's way more important. And then also a lot of these emergency rooms and hospitals overall, ask them for a sliding scale. They have compassionate care programs where sometimes they will relieve you of your cost of your visit. So I just was trying to sneak in some tools and some gems for some people who are like, Nurse Alice, I don't have insurance. What do I do? So, but I think that's going to have to be a whole nother episode in and of itself.
I think that should be another episode. I think that's a really good
coupons for medications and labs and all kinds of stuff.
Good RX and all these different, maybe we need a special episode, a very special episode about how to save money with this damn healthcare system because it is too damn expensive. Wow. The number one cause of bankruptcy in the United States is past due medical bills. Number one cause of bankruptcy. So we also know that, right? When we tell y'all, we get it. Like we get it. Going to the emergency room, going to urgent care, going to primary care provider, whatever. Like if you don't have insurance or you have bad insurance or you in between jobs or whatever, like it's rough.
COVID is expensive.
Expensive, right? But just like Alice said, like also tell someone on TikTok is saying telemedicine can be a really cost-effective thing. Yes. And listen, you can pull up that foot, Alice, like you were saying. You can be like, I got this hangnail right here, doc. Take a look.
Absolutely, you can.
And they'll tell you whether or not you should get in and see somebody, and that can be a heck of a lot cheaper. So just know that there are resources and convenience. You can do it in between meetings. You can do. Everybody got a phone. You can just do it on the street corner if you need to. Like whatever you need to do, and particularly most primary care providers and people on the other end of that telemedicine service are are going to do what they can to help you. And let me remind y'all that it is a misnomer that there's like, the longer, as particularly as like outpatient primary care providers, like the longer I keep you on this call or whatever, the more money I'm going to make.
No.
Personally, like in my pocket. Like most folks just make what they make or make hourly. Like we're literally legitimately here to help you. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, mental health is I think that's underutilized. I don't know if you've ever used it, but listen, I feel like I've worked everywhere. Like I work in Jamaican, I've worked everywhere. But when I do telehealth,
all right, cool. You mean have I like taken advantage of telemedicine?
Yeah, it is, because I will say this: oftentimes, and I'll say some of the most frequent things I get are, "Oh, I think I have a bladder infection. I think I have a UTI, something like that."
Yep.
And I'm like, "Okay, boom. Yep. I've ordered your labs. I've preemptively treated you depending on what's going, your medical history. Maybe I'm not, maybe I'm going to wait for the culture, but you don't even have to drive anywhere to come see me. You just got to go pee in the cup, pick up your medication from the pharmacy once you get notified.
Yep.
It's that simple. And so you can do all of that for I understand working individuals. Primary care visits are usually banker's hours, and those are also the hours in which most people have to go to work. And I understand that not everyone's job is going to be as lenient to let you off for an hour or two to go to to a visit. So that's when telehealth can really make a difference, because let me just keep it real. I don't make enough money. I don't have any PTO, so I can't take the day off to go to my appointment. But then when you get sick, then you're laid off for a week. So you really got to, balance this out. Like, just do the telehealth visit, couple dollars, and then you can still stay at work, but then also you're going to take care of yourself, so then you're later not sicker where you have to be off for prolonged periods of time.
Yep. Or even your babies, right? This happens with a lot of parents,
well,
right?
Yeah, you don't have daycare. You got to take little Jimmy to the soccer. And let me say this: kudos to parents who still do what they got to do, even when they're sick, not like bent over in pain, but like, I got to take them to soccer practice.
Still gotta go. Right. Yep. It's really a truth. Real quick, Alice, before we leave, someone on Instagram mentioned, what are our thoughts on Amazon clinics? So I don't have very specific experience with Amazon clinics. I've only met a couple of people who have used Amazon clinics. They had great results, but that's anecdotal, right? So that's just a couple of people's individual experience. From what I understand about what they do, they are on par and in line with any other sort of like quality telemedicine service. It is important to know, though, that there are limitations to some of these telemedicine services. So if you go to an Amazon clinic, the pro can be as cheap as like $20 a visit, $30 a visit, and they'll take care of everything and do exactly what Alice just walked you through. Like, oh, you think you have a UTI? I can send you medications. I can order the labs. Like, you don't even have to come in. You can figure this whole thing out and get your UTI taken care of. At the same time, there are some limitations to what they can do, like any telemedicine service.
Yeah.
If we zoom out and we do the what's the 50,000 foot picture of this, I think that the Amazonification of healthcare. I made it up because that's what I do.
I like it though.
Right. Thank you. The Amazonification of healthcare is here. It's just going to get bigger, right? It's just think about this. Clinics and CVS's, clinics and Walgreens. We didn't have that when we were as a kid growing up. Walgreens, went to Walgreens, you got medication and maybe a few things over the counter. Well, now, baby, it's like you can get your oil change, you can see a provider, you can get all your vaccines, you can get all this stuff at Walgreens. The commercialization of all of these things in healthcare is coming because as human beings with finite expiration dates on our physical and mental health, frankly, we all at some point will be consumers of the healthcare system. Right. And don't ever forget that healthcare is a business.
It is. And so much so that because it's cheaper to keep you healthy, right? Go to your wellness visits versus you having a hospitalization. Lyft and Uber are actually part of some people's healthcare plans now. So check the healthcare plan. It's in the fine print. So if you need a ride to and from your provider's visit, your cardiology visit, it may be built in your insurance plan that they're going to go ahead and foot the bill on your ride to make sure you get there to get seen, so you get the care you need, stay healthy, and don't end up in the hospital, which costs a lot more. And then same with our medications. They're delivering your medications to your home. There you go.
Yep. I love it. Alice, we got a scoot. We went a little over time today. We're giving y'all a little bit extra. So everybody watching, we really appreciate y'all jumping in. I am academic title, Dr. James Simmons. I'm Dr. James Simmons, DMP, proud nurse practitioner. You are also seeing on my cameras, it's below me, America's favorite nurse.
Alice Benjamin. And, you know, I go by Nurse Alice, guys, but I'm actually a clinical nurse specialist and a family nurse practitioner. But, you know, underneath it all, I'm still a nurse, right? So I just go by Nurse Alice. And that's how I entered the game. And that's how you guys came to know and love me. So
you said came and know and love me. So we really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you are not following at Ask Nurse Alice on all platforms, please do. If you are following at Ask the NP on all platforms, please do. Also, hey to my TikTok folks. I had a few TikTok folks stay in the room the whole time, even though I kind of like half ignored y'all. But we're getting to 10,000 followers on TikTok so I can go live on the computer. That's like
awesome.
A rule or something. Also, congratulations one more time to Dr. Farah Laurent for being on the Jennifer Hudson show and joining us every Monday. We really appreciate that. And for being a member of Alice's Media RX Academy. Very exciting.
Yes. This is a good one. I like this conversation.
Yeah, this was good. We actually had a couple of people jump in late here on YouTube and on LinkedIn. So don't forget, 5 p.m. Pacific time on Mondays, we go live for half an hour-ish, but today we went a little bit over because the conversation was good. So it was juicy. It was really good. We really appreciate y'all being here. We hope you have a fantastic week. Go LA Sparks. They drafted Cameron Brink. It makes me very happy. I'll do a sports themed show later. All right. Alice, have a great evening. See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, sis.